Guys, are you 30, single, and feeling left behind? Well, in today's video, we actually talk about how to get over this fear of missing out. And today, I have my girl, Angela,
Hi,
to tell us about her experiences. In the other video, you're talking about feeling left behind. You're scrolling through like IG and Facebook, and you're talking about like just that feeling of like feeling so behind in life.
I think that whole feeling of missing out is just so real, no matter what age. Because I feel like even all my friends who are now having babies and stuff, now you have like the fear of like, oh, am I having enough fun? How about my kids? And now it's all about my kids, like what school my kids are gonna go to, and all this competition. It never ends, and it's I think just all mentality, like how you treat life and how you expect life to run its course.
Yeah. When you were 20, what did you imagine your life to be at 30?
Wow, so lots of things. I thought I was gonna have kids by 25, so I'm way behind. I had all these like dreams and aspirations where I was just already gonna be married, my kids would be already kind of grown, I would travel a little bit here and there. But to be honest, my dreams kind of stopped after kids. For some weird reason, it's like you don't think about anything beyond that, for me at least. Like, it's always like, oh, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have kids. And then I don't know, like it's a big huge question mark. We'll see what happens,
Yeah, let me ask you this, why did you imagine like 25 you would have like your family, your whole life put together?
Because I thought in my little timeline, by 18 you graduate with, from high school, then you have 4 years of college, and then you have like 2 to 3 years of, like working experience. And by then, you should have already dated a few people, find like the person that you want to marry, and maybe start having a kid. But it's so not real anymore. And you cannot graduate from college nowadays and be truly successful. Like you'll still be trying to make ends meet with like the money that you get with, most bachelor degrees. So you have to go beyond that, and that takes like 4 or 5 more years.
Yeah, I mean, when did you kind of realize like, hey, maybe this dream of like being married and having your family at 25 was like not possible?
Probably by like my 3rd year in college. Yeah, I think that was when I realized like, oh, this is not gonna happen the way I anticipated. And also because when we I'm a little older. So when I graduated in 2008, it was one of the worst recessions we had in the nation. And so I literally could not find a job even as a dishwasher assistant for a lab.
You tried being a dishwasher
Yeah,
assistant?
and it was paying like $10, and I thought like, oh, this is like really good money, but I couldn't even get a job to be a lab assistant. And it was really sad. And that's when I realized like, this is not gonna work. I have to go beyond just getting a bachelor.
Yeah, because you went through the whole bio bubble, like med school type of route, right?
Yeah. And it's super competitive, and you don't really know what to expect, because then you have all these people going into different medical fields and you get kind of lost into it. And then you get really discouraged because you meet all these really smart people who are just as competitive or even more, and you just get really discouraged because they'll tell you like all their grades and their exam scores, and you're just like, okay, why do I even bother? Because they're only accepting like a percentage of us, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like that constant competition too, which gets like really, really stressful as well,
Yeah.
I feel you. It's so funny as you're talking, like I'm thinking like, once upon a time, Kevin Yee actually wanted to get also married at 25. I thought I would have my whole life. Yeah, I know. That's a pretty crazy thing. I thought I found the girl of my dreams at like age, I think like 20 or 21. I thought I was gonna marry this girl. I thought like, just rush through pharmacy school, bam, come out of pharmacy school, marrying this chick. But sometimes things don't happen the way you want.
I want to say most of the time, it's not how you expect. Yeah, it's just more of how you want to live it and how you're going to work with what you have.
And like, dude, it's kind of funny how sometimes like we paint this picture and how it totally does not work out like that. So let's go into the next point. So let me ask you, I mean, what was it like when you actually turned 30? What was like that whole experience like?
Well, as you've seen the video, I was freaking out. I think I had like a midlife crisis, or quarter life crisis, what they call now. And I didn't know what to expect, because I think at that point you have like half and half. Like you have some friends that were kind of in the same boat, and then you have like a bigger chunk of friends who are already like progressing in their lives. They have like babies, getting married, and you suddenly feel left out. Like, where am I going? What are my goals? And you get really lost in this haze. Like, do I want to pursue this? Do I want to have kids? But deep down, I wasn't ready. Like and I knew I haven't found someone that I wanted to marry, and I didn't want to rush into like getting married. So I think that's really tough because you want to be there, but you don't want to also be there. Does that make sense?
Talk a little bit more about that.
It's like wanting to be somewhere because you see everyone being there, but then actually, like, deep down, you don't want to be there. Like, everyone's having kids. I don't know if I'm ready. Like, I'm a little scared. And, all the experiences everyone's telling me, it's kind of scary. And to be honest, I feel a little bit selfish. Like, I still want to have fun a little bit, travel a little bit. So it's really hard for me to tell people to, I don't know. It's hard to gauge. What do you think?
It's kind of, well, from what I'm hearing, it's kind of like you only want those things because other people are kind of getting them as well.
Yeah, and it's because your core group of friends are all kind of there, so you think you need to also have it. And I don't know if it's more like you feel left out or you feel like you need it because to fit in, or if it's just because you're kind of jealous and you're like, oh, I want that too. You know, it's like
you want to be like in.
Yeah, like I don't want to be the outsider, But it kind of sucks because sometimes people will be like, oh, how are dating life, and it's like I don't want to talk about that when everyone's already talking about like, oh, my baby, this and that. It's hard.
Dude, I think that moment actually happens like whenever I go to a wedding or something. Like, dude, I'm the only pharmacy person that is single, who's not married, who's not planning to have kids anytime soon and whatnot. And sometimes it gets, for me, like you, like I catch myself like, hey, should I go back to school and do residency? Hey, should I go back to school and do an MBA or something like that?
I've been thinking about that lately, like doing my own business and maybe even going into residency. It's tough because I keep thinking, like I go back and forth thinking, okay, can I sacrifice all this time, less pay to do residency? Can I give up like a chunk of my pay to do a side hustle? Like I have bills, so I can't just drop things too. So it's really hard to really figure that out.
Yeah, especially like for me, what was really, really unexpected for me was actually, what's so funny? I never wanted to do business for most of my life. And I think around the like first year of working, I was like, dude, I really want to do business. This is something I'm very passionate about. But it's kind of hard because sometimes your friends around you, they're not really into that stuff either,
Well, that, and also because we're not really geared towards the business side. So it's like a big, huge risk. Like we don't have the background knowledge to do that. I mean, maybe because you were a pharmacy manager, so you kind of know.
Dude, that does not teach you how to like do anything with business, but.
Me less, except just like my family, doing business, like I can kind of like see how to do it, but no experience.
I think it was really interesting, like back in, well, a lot of people don't know this, but I remember like one time we were sitting down at this like Thai restaurant and we were talking about like your juicing business idea that you had.
Oh my gosh, that's funny because I actually have this juicing calendar with Kevin. And there's nothing in there because that was it. That was the last topic. But, I thought about that a lot, but yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. You shot that video of being 30 and behind and all that maybe a few years ago. How has your life changed now and how did you sort of get over that feeling?
To be honest, it kind of never really completely went away. Yeah, because I'm in a relationship, so yay. But
she's not single, guys.
But it's kind of tough too because thinking like, oh, okay, once I get into more serious relationship, I'm getting married, like going into marriage or like maybe having kids, you're thinking, oh, okay, now I'm starting to head towards this path, But then as you're heading towards this path, there's still like this gray zone where you're like, what's else? Like, what else is there? Because you always want more, and I think that's human nature that you always constantly want a little bit more.
What are some of the things that you wanted more of?
I don't know. It's so hard to describe because it's actually funny because I was actually talking to him about it this morning because I was like thinking, I kind of want to just quit my job and go traveling for a little bit, but at the same time, that's not completely reasonable. I mean, I would definitely have to work out a lot of finances. But then I was like asking like, what's the meaning of life? Like, like how do we thrive or how do we make ourselves feel fulfilled, Because every time you have something, you feel like, okay, now I want more. But then what's that extra thing? Sometimes you don't know. And when you don't know, you're like lost.
Yeah, because Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, because when I talked to you, last time I talked to you, I mean, you wanted to be in a serious relationship. You wanted a house. Now that you have all those things, it's just like very interesting to see that, hey, maybe that journey of wanting more doesn't end.
It doesn't. And you know how they always say like rich people, like the richest people are always like the most depressed people? No, I mean, it's kind of true because like you have so much money, you can have anything you want. It's like that feeling of wanting more, but when you have everything, it's like not satisfying anymore because you just don't know how to really, live life, I guess. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but the only people I can think about is like Bill Gates. Like he's super rich, but he's really philanthropic. Like he'll do all these like charities and I don't know.
Yeah. I think the thing is like, dude, I hit your point where like, I was making about almost $150,000 a year. Other people look at me and they were like, Kevin, you're so damn successful. But inside, dude, I felt like a fucking failure. And that was like one of the main reasons why I wanted to do business. It's not only to make money. It's not only to, like be a boss in a Bentley or anything like that.
Maybe.
Maybe, that'd be pretty nice. But
I'll ride in the Bentley.
I think the main important thing was like, dude, I wanted to add so much purpose to the world. I wanted to give back to people, give to people that I would never ever get to meet. And for me, that was like why I wanted to do business and whatnot. So I think at the end of the day, what we're trying to say is like, it's important not to have other people tell you how to live your life or be influenced. I think the most important thing is just to really, try to figure out what works for you and like live life on your own terms,
I totally agree, but easier said than done.
Hell yeah.
It's so hard, but it's true because I think when you live off of other people's lives, you constantly feel like you're in this endless competition and you never feel fulfilled because you can't always live the same way as other people. Like we're all different and we all want different things. And so when you realize or when you actually have that, you actually realize you're not as happy as other people. Like you see other people with their kids and they're extremely happy. Maybe you might not want kids. You might feel like they're a burden. I don't know.
I seriously, I think one of the biggest leaps of faith I took this year was, so for y'all that don't know, my dad actually passed away earlier this year. And as I was like, I don't know, there's something about watching your parent go, or as you're standing at the head of your parent's casket, I just realized that one day that's gonna be me. And what do I really want to leave behind, like for my kids, for strangers, for my legacy, And I realized that, hey, I have friends like you who have successful like pharmacy careers and stuff. But for me, like I wanted to just take the chance, Like at the end of the day, pharmacy is always there. I can always go back, right? But what I can't do is take back time. And I think for me, that's when I took the leap of faith and just like, I just went for it. I just went for my business and didn't look back, man.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things also is to realize that life is just way too short to like continuously like compete with other people and to live off of other people's lives. Just live your own life and just be happy and accept your own happiness. So, this whole year, it's been really tough for you. And I know like all the things that you've gone through. And you know what was funny? Well, not so funny, but remember a few years back, I had like back-to-back bad luck.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what's wrong with you? And I was known to be like this
I wasn't like, what's
bad
wrong
luck
with
charm, like everywhere. I would get into like car accident like 2 weeks in a row. It was horrible. And, at one point I just felt like this is so pointless. Like, and I felt defeated. So, I know you've been going through like a lot of stuff this year, especially like your dad's death. So how did you cope with all of that?
Yeah, no, it's really crazy. It wasn't only dealing with my dad's death. I mean, it was dealing with my dad's death, losing my job, like being so unsure about what I wanted to do. I think that's one of the most uncomfortable feelings when you're going through life and you just don't have a direction where you want to go. You don't know where you want to be. Everything's just up in the air. And, like most people, I went back to my roots. I started picking up books. I started picking up books, taking courses and stuff. And I think one of the biggest books that really helped me like figure out that certainty and what I really wanted in life was a book called F.U. Money. And you know, like
That's an interesting title.
yeah, it's like it stands for like fuck you money, but what it's really about is living life on your own terms. And when I read that book, it's by this guy named Dan Lok. He's it's very funny. He's like a fob, right?
Okay.
And he talks like this. He's like, "This is why you fucking Paul." But I'm just like laughing at that. But when I read his book, it really struck home to me because, like me, his father died when he was pretty young. I also have a link in the description. You can get FU money for free, but I definitely recommend it for like people our age. You know, when you don't know what you want to do with your career, you don't know what your relationships want. You don't know what your relationship looks like, or don't know what you want to do. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
You know, so.
Well, you're gonna let me borrow yours, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
dude, yeah, of course. That homie hookup, man. Anyways, guys, let me know, like, what are you guys going through at the age of 30? What, if you're under 30, what do you imagine your life to be like? Let me know in the comments. And Angela, just want to thank you for coming on today and doing this shoot with me.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Peace.